We are back on Taking Care of Business on Current Radio, News Talk, 1180, 1230 KGEO, 1410 KERI, 1000 KKIM in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and 3 times a week on the Internet nationwide through knookmedia.com. Well, I enjoyed that interview with Senator Smith. He definitely is my first choice. He has an uphill battle against Scott Brown next week, but anything you can do. I mean, this is one race. This is one Senate seat that it's doable. We can get it, but we need to throw our support behind Senator Smith as much as we can in the next couple of days. But we've got an old friend of the show, old friend of mine. That's our next guest, the Western Regional Director of the National Right to Life, Brian Johnston. Brian, welcome back to Taking Care of Business.
Good to be on with you, Marty. It's always a pleasure.
It is always a pleasure to have you, my friend. So, I want to ask you a question about Life Fest. I know I wanted to ask about something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, how'd that go? We haven't talked to you since.
It was great. It was great. And, we every year we do that. We focus on Hollywood for a couple of reasons. It's part of California. And our state affiliate, the California Pro-Life Council, has volunteers in every town, city, and hamlet. And that's one little village, the village of Hollywood, that actually not only influences the entire state, it influences the entire nation and world. So Life Fest is part of our approach to kind of crack through the mindset there in Hollywood. It's not an easy task, and it's many of us, of course, in times past have just written off the Hollywood culture. But you need to know there's a lot of folks in Hollywood that, in fact, are pro-life. They tend to get a little quiet. They don't talk about it really loud because that's more political a city than Washington or Sacramento even. But they're there and they want to make a difference, and there's a lot of good allies in that town. So Life Fest, our 5th year is coming up now in April of 2015, and we're very excited about it. And if you go to the website, lifefilmfest.com, lifefilmfest.com, all spelled out, you can see that. You can see some of the stars we've had there, and people are very supportive. And great films that have been released. A lot of films are already known that have been, saw their debut, October Baby, and some of them just don't come to mind right now, but you'll see them all listed there. And Kevin Sorbo's greeting. Kevin Sorbo taped a greeting for us. There's some good folks in Hollywood. We want to encourage and rekindle that because this is a battle of ideas, first and foremost. And when we start talking about what our topic is today, that really is my theme still. We are in a battle of ideas. It's swirling all around us. We sometimes forget that we're in this battle, and sometimes we allow the wrong ideas to influence us, even if we have come to good resolution ourselves. Sometimes we get the idea that I just can't make a difference. We get the idea that, this is terrible, what's happening in America is terrible, and I'm just going to pull out. And that's the worst thing you could possibly do.
And when you look at the percentage of people of faith, percentage of pro-lifers that actually vote, it's not as high as you would think, unfortunately.
Holy smokes! It's kind of a sore subject because when you look at it in exact detail, I have to tell you there are counties in California where we've compared the pro-life folks that we know are there, and they're very pro-life and they do stuff. But you look at their voter registration, and 35% of them are registered.
Yeah, see, that's ridiculous.
And you go, wait a second, how could this be? It doesn't make sense, but because there's a disconnect that happens. And what happens is that people get the wrong idea about the message of life. They get the wrong idea about our culture. Our culture is going the way it's going, to be honest, because our opponents are incredibly assertive. And they are willing to cleverly assert their point of view. Ultimately, in a battle of ideas, we have to recognize that ideas that are enforced are called laws. So the whole legal process, the whole election process, the whole thing of politics, which people think of, that's smoke-filled rooms and politicking, and I'm a good churchman or a churchwoman. I just don't get involved in that. Well, it's just ideas. But it's through policy or politics that ideas become enforced. And that's what laws are all about. So unless people with the right ideas take the time to learn, take the time to commit themselves to change that process, we're not going to win. But if we do, we can win. And that's really the message throughout American history, that if people as they have committed themselves to understand and to put their hands to that plow, they do win. And that's, again, some of the worst of America's abuses. Obviously, killing human babies by abortion is an incredible cultural and moral abuse. Before 1973, it was clearly an abuse of the laws and the ideas and ideals of the United States of America. The U.S. Supreme Court in 73 overturned the laws, the ideas, if you will, the enforced ideas of each state. U.S. Supreme Court changed that. But you have to remember, other times in our history, the U.S. Supreme Court did almost exactly the same thing with the issue of slavery. Slavery existed from the beginning of our nation, in this nation, as you might say, a protected, peculiar institution. And then late in the game, it was debated before our Constitution was written. People were not sure what to do with it. Late in the game, in the 1850s, the Supreme Court came forward and said, we'll finish this debate. We'll finish this debate once and for all. Dred Scott.
Yep.
The Dred Scott decision, just like Roe, the U.S. Supreme Court said, that human being is property. That human being is disposable. That human being does not deserve protection under the law. Therefore, case closed. That did not settle the issue in the least. In fact, again, we don't have a lot of time to talk about it. It is in the book. You and I talked off the radio. We talked about the upcoming book, Restoring the Right to Life. But I focus quite a bit on that history. We have restored the right to life when it was lost. That's exactly what the slavery debate was about. And if you look at Lincoln's pattern, very important to understand Lincoln. He used the civic process. He did not even use, the people think the war and slavery, they do not understand history. If you think that the war is what ended it. And Abraham Lincoln himself, even in the Emancipation Proclamation, historians, any historian you talk to will tell you, the Emancipation Proclamation itself did not end slavery.
It technically didn't even free one slave.
Exactly right. And people don't understand that. They don't understand. But the reason he did it was to really punish his military opponents. Ironically, since they claimed that slaves were possessions, under the War Powers Act, and the president still has this authority, you can take the possessions of your enemy and claim them. And so he claimed them to really punish, you might say, his enemies, but he knew once the states were restored, slavery would still be legal in those states because he was doing it under the War Powers Act. So it was a very political and very clever test move, but he still had to go back and make sure that the laws were changed and the Constitution itself was changed. Spielberg's film, Lincoln, depicts that real battle, the battle of ideas that took place in the U.S. Senate and Congress. He depicts that and how Lincoln made sure that it was voted on because it was not the guns of war that ended slavery. It was the commitment of good people to the good ideas and make sure that good ideas were enshrined in the laws. That's how the 13th Amendment passed. Again, Spielberg's film is very, very powerful to describe the civic process. That's what we're doing here today. You can be involved in civics, and if you aren't, then you don't understand what it means to be an American citizen.
Exactly.
If you think you don't have to vote, if you think it doesn't matter, you're going to have a chance in 62 days, wherever you are right now in America listening. You have a chance to impact history. You have a chance to overturn government. And the wrong idea is to think, oh, well, I can't, It's just too hard, and people are too resistant. Well, Lincoln was so eloquent, and he made a point to win people over to whatever you can do to get your message across creatively and lovingly. I am so impressed as I reread Abraham Lincoln. The love and compassion with which he carried the most important burdens, and that's what we have to do in the realm of ideas.
No question about it. When we come back from the break, Brian, let's talk a little bit about how people can get involved between now and November's primaries. And let's talk about one or two people and some legislation that's going on that'll help us in the pro-life movement. We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Current Radio News Talk 1180.